Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube channel. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host, Miosha. And today we also have an additional guest,
Yep.
and that is Crystal, who is a friend of the podcast. She's been on several of our episodes over the last couple of years. So welcome, Crystal.
Thank you.
All right, so today we're doing another Am I the A-hole Reddit thread reaction video. So definitely stay tuned. This one is girls trip related. So we have some really good ones to react to today. All right, you want to just go ahead and get into the first one?
All right. Am I the a-hole? Girls trip flight change. All right, let's see. I had a girls trip planned to Arizona to see a concert with my best friend, who also happens to be my sister-in-law. We were leaving Friday and coming back Sunday night, so it sounds like a weekend trip. Some background: I have no kids, work a full-time job at a bank, and my sister-in-law is a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. I had a crazy month, got back from a cruise Monday night, found out my basement flooded. Oh, so I needed to move into a different rental that night. Luckily, I was going to move in a few weeks anyways, but this just sped things up, and I was very unprepared. My Arizona trip was also that very same week. After moving, I was feeling overwhelmed, so I asked my sister-in-law if we could change our flight to come home Saturday. So I guess it would make it a one-day trip at that point instead of Sunday. So I had an extra day to finish unpacking my new house, get some rest, and prepare for the work week. I also had an interview that next week for a branch manager position.
She got too much going on
I know, I feel like
already,
she's telling.
but I'm gonna let you finish.
I feel like she's saying a lot of personal information about her career stuff, but either way, so the sister-in-law wasn't happy about this and said I was being selfish for cutting her only vacation a day short. She said we could change the flight, but that I would need to pay for a flight change fee, which was $68, since she didn't want to leave. I said I don't think that that's fair, because we would end up spending more money staying an extra day with our Airbnb, food, shopping, etc. Also, I know money isn't tight for them, as her husband, my brother, not her pocket watcher, has a very good job. We had an okay trip, but she hasn't spoken to me since. I refused to pay for her flight. Who is the a-hole here?
Okay. My vote is the sister-in-law, but not completely. I understand her not wanting to change the flight, especially as a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids. Like, she's probably been looking forward to it. It's not her fault that all these things it's nobody's fault that all these things happen to this young lady, and that she has the interview and she has this and that. Like, that's not the sister-in-law's fault. So I don't completely think she's the a-hole, because I understand her not wanting to cut her trip short. Now, where things get a little sketchy for me with the sister-in-law is her calling the girl selfish, because with all the things that have been going on with her, I don't necessarily see that as selfish, but that's just me. And also, why couldn't she stay?
Yeah, but it sounds like by cutting it a day short, they could also adjust their Airbnb. So she mentioned like, hey, we'd be saving money overall. So it doesn't sound like she was like, oh, well, you could go ahead and stay. We can keep everything as is, but I'm gonna go home so I can take care of business. It was sounding like, hey, let's cut the trip short. And I'm also gonna save money too. And you can cover your own change fee.
But why didn't she just speak up?
Who, the sister-in-law?
Why didn't she just say, no, I want to stay? You go, you handle your business, and I'll stay.
Yeah, speak up. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the writer of the post may be a bit more of the a-hole in this situation. Only because, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but it's like your life is complicated and you have a lot of things going on. And I feel when you commit to a group trip of any type, once you get so close, then it's like, yeah, things are kind of locked in. So if you have to pull out or things change, then you incur those costs, or may lose out on money, but then everyone else should just be able to go along. So even her asking to cut it short by a day and knowing that she would have to have the additional fee to be covered.
So the thing the qualm that I have with her is, like you said, it is close to the time of the trip. So at this point, it seems like they already have the Airbnb. You just need to take that loss. It's money that's already out of your account at this point. You do have to get back to get your life sorted because that's a lot that's going on. But I agree with you. I don't think she should have made that the sister-in-law's responsibility. So I think the sister-in-law should have just said, hey, I don't think that because you have all this going on that I should cut my trip short. I should be able to stay and enjoy my full weekend, and you can go and handle whatever things you need to handle. That's fine. Like, I won't be mad. I'll stay by myself. Like, that's enough of an inconvenience for me because it was supposed to be a girls' weekend. So yeah, I'm not, maybe it's the lack of communication from the sister-in-law that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I also think too, her basically being like, oh, well, I know the money isn't the issue because the brother-in-law has the money. So it sounds like she came up with this plan to change the plans, factory in like, oh, I know y'all got it like that. It's not as big of a deal. Why do you need me to cover it?
And yeah, you can't.
And that energy in itself seems a bit entitled.
Yeah, you can't make that decision for her. Because, like, okay, what if things are going on in the household that you don't know about? Like, why would you assume?
And if you're on one income, she maybe doesn't know the sacrifices that they're making. That's their business to make that lifestyle work. So yeah, I'm leaning towards the writer of the post.
Nothing else is changing my mind little bit.
It makes
I don't
sense.
know. I think for me, when it comes to committing to group trips, if you're the person that needs to change and once you get so close, I mean, we know how this works with cancellation dates and the airlines and everybody already wants their money. I don't know. I think it's on you to be like, oh, like every trip I've signed up for and it was a part of a bigger group, I go into it knowing if I have to pull out, that I'm probably still going to have to be financially responsible for my portion if I can't find another person to fill my spot. Why is it on the rest of the group to figure that out?
Yeah. So, okay, for me, the lack of communication, but then also I kind of feel like if you're going to say something like, you're so selfish, girl, you might as well communicate other things. Like, don't hold your tongue now.
I don't think that's selfish at all. I mean, her apartment is flooded.
I think it's selfish for her to want to end the trip.
Yes.
And not just pull out.
Maybe
because she suggested to change the flight. She should have just said, oh girl, I'm gonna go home early, you stay. Why even suggest that she change her flight?
Right.
Maybe her sister-in-law was not comfortable traveling alone or being there by herself,
That's a point, but she didn't say that.
But she didn't say go. She didn't say I'll stay. She said, okay, but you pay for the change of flight.
Dang, a friendship ruined over $68. But it's the principle. It's the principle.
It's the principle. And it sounds like she's been pocket watching. So there were no edits to this one, but it seems like one of the comments says that like you changed the plans on her last minute. Basically, you being overwhelmed is kind of on you, like with what you have going on. Yeah, y'all let us know what y'all think in the comments.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part about group trips, girls trips. You got to make sure everyone can hopefully pull through into the end. But just in my head, it's like, oh, life could happen. And if I have to take the L, I have to take the L.
She should definitely take the L. And if it was a thing where she was requiring the sister-in-law to leave early, she should have paid the $68 fee. I don't care how much money I make. I spent that money. So I can see that. You've changed my mind quite a bit. And I can't say the sister-in-law is the a-hole for not speaking up because I know that is something that's learned over time, like it can be hard to do.
And
So
family dynamics. This is her sister-in-law, so she's married into the family. So I don't even know. Like that's something I keep in mind when I'm like dealing with in-laws is I don't know, maybe less is more
You said
sometimes.
it's her best friend too.
right.
So was it her best friend and then became sister-in-law?
Girl, we don't know.
that
That could
she needs,
change the narrative.
she needs to do an edit so that we could
Right?
get more
Because I feel
information.
like if it's a sister-in-law, you also maybe have to tread a bit lightly too with what and how. Maybe she felt a certain pressure just to go along with it, just because
Mhm.
of family dynamics. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Okay.
All right.
I feel comfortable going to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one says, "Am I the a-hole for not going on a girls' trip because their partners are going to tag along?" I already have feelings about this.
Same.
Okay, so I'll read before I make up my mind. Me and two of my best friends, it's always a best friend, are supposedly going to our girls trip in another 3 months. One of my girlfriends, Sarah, is going to get married this year, so we thought it's gonna be a nice and cute girls trip, only the three of us. They mean a lot to me, and we've been besties since we were kids in primary school. Now we're already 24. We've been planning for this Hawaii trip for months, and suddenly this morning they told me in group chat that Sarah's fiance and Tammy, the other one, Tammy's boyfriend, are going to come along.
Right.
They told me
Suddenly.
they told me. Okay. Here before we have traveled for short trips, and honestly, I don't really vibe with her fiance, not because he's mean or abusive, but it's just that I could never be myself when we're hanging out if her fiance's there. I never expressed my dislike to her fiance because obviously Sarah's my best friend and I love her and he treats her well. But she told me on the group chat that he's coming and Tammy's boyfriend as well. I am single and I don't mind third wheeling, honestly. It's just I feel like that's not what I signed up for. Understandable, girl. So after a while thinking, I decided to just not go, even after I had bought the ticket, which is around $1,000 and non-refundable. Okay, we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that. I typed a long essay. I said they still have to go because this trip would be Sarah's fiance's first long travel trip. Travel trip is sending me because why do they need to go together? Travel trip. And they're not going to go on a honeymoon. So this is possibly like their honeymoon / pre-wed photo shoot trip.
Wait.
I would just read the rest of it. Okay, but they think I'm selfish for not tagging along and they really want me to come because the girls trip will still be a girls trip as long as the three of us are there.
How is that? How is it a girls trip with men?
Girl, it's a couples trip with a third wheel. Don't try
That's
to.
Exactly. It's not a girls trip.
That's what it is. So she said, I explained to them how it's actually not cool to change plans, but I completely understand because she really wants to go with her man and it's a long trip.
My man,
and she
my man.
and she doesn't want to waste it on a girls trip. But I think my feelings are valid too. She said, I've tried to explain nicely, but Sarah says something like, you don't understand how hard it is for us to be the middle person. Okay, from the text, I think they expected me to just go along with the trip, but honestly, I don't want it. I really would love to go back there and travel, especially with my girls, but you can't tell me the vibes and dynamics would still be the same with their partners coming along. All right, Miosha.
I'm gonna let Crystal go first on this one.
Right, because she had a whole lot to say. She couldn't even get through the reading.
Is it not obvious? First of all, how is it suddenly decided? They've been thinking about this before. They just told her, not even ask her, they told her, my man will be coming along. No, your man will not be coming along. She is too nice for me because not her understanding and be like, okay, like you guys go have fun.
And
this
forfeiting her $1,000 plane ticket or whatever it was.
On my dime. This is not your photo shoot. No, this is not it.
I think you might be right about them planning it because what's the coincidence that both partners would come? So it sounds like one of them was like, oh, well, my guy wants to come. We'll see if yours wants to come too, because most guys won't sign up to be the only guy
On a girl's trip.
on a girl's trip. So you're right, Crystal. I think they've been plotting behind the scenes, and then poor girl just found out in the group chat.
I will tell you what, if I had spent my $1,000 on a trip, I'm absolutely going. Don't y'all talk to me. Y'all wanted a couples trip so bad. Y'all can have it. It's going to be a solo travel for me. And y'all going to have to find somewhere else to stay, because I'm canceling the reservation where we had agreed to stay initially, because I'm going to find myself something that's more affordable. I'm not about to play roommate with y'all and y'all significant others. That is absolutely insensitive. And the thing is, because it's two of them and one of her, she probably felt outnumbered, but there is no chance in heaven or hell that I'm going to spend $1,000 on just the ticket and not take a trip that I've been looking forward to. Like, absolutely. And I don't care what names you call me whatever. I'm gonna have my solo trip. Like, I don't care.
And look, going forward, don't plan anything with them. I mean, it's the audacity for me.
Right.
For them, I mean, clearly she's not the a-hole. And they actually expected for her to go along with it. I wonder if she usually is pretty agreeable, because this seems pretty bold
to do
for them to do this. I agree. I would not forfeit my ticket. I would say though, and not to give excuses for the friend, but I find it interesting that she said that she doesn't care for the fiance. No specific reason other than she just don't really want to be around him like that. And I wonder if she was cool with the guys, if she would be like, all right, it sucks. But for her to be like, I'm gonna just forfeit the whole ticket, I feel like she really don't see it for them like that. That says a lot.
I like you. I'm not doing it.
You better don't do that to me.
I don't care how much I like you. You were gonna say something?
Oh yes. And the fact that it said in the beginning, right? This is gonna be her last trip with her girlfriends because her religion.
Oh yeah,
she'll be able to travel with them in the future. So like the fact that they don't want to take this moment and just spend that time together, like as girlfriends. Like this is the last time.
And it's so annoying. Just as like, girl, you can't have one trip
without your man.
And y'all are about to get married, so your future is seemingly pretty solidified. You're gonna have going forward to be mainly with that person.
All your trips gonna be with him. But also they're 24, right? I always like to take age into consideration, because maybe at that age, we're in our 30s. We made the cut. We're in our 30s, so we can see, okay, a man is a wonderful thing to have. It's not your entire life. But at 24, to be getting married, you probably feel like one of the fortunate ones, depending on, your background, and if people in your culture or religion or social circle get married young. So, you know how sometimes some people just like invest all of their time and all of their energy into the person. So I want to give her some slack for just being naive and being young.
I will say, like, okay, even in that, once you find out that your friend isn't for it,
yes,
why wouldn't you change? Okay, and maybe initially you didn't realize how silly of an idea it is. But once you find out, like, oh, my friend's about to cancel her ticket, she's not going to come, why not go back to the guys and say, hey, it actually isn't going to work?
Yeah.
Because they planned it like that.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
Because it was all planned.
Yeah.
Because there's no way we are having a girls trip and I will invite my man.
Ever.
And somebody else will invite their man, knowing that the other person's single. Like, we're not going to do that.
And for the accommodations, what are y'all staying in that can automatically cover 2 additional adults?
Right.
They planned this.
They planned it.
It's only 3 months out.
Yeah, so that too. And then did they go buy the guys tickets and stuff and then tell her? That's what it sounds like. It sounds very shady.
And then she says something like, you don't understand how hard it is for us to be the middle person. So I'm assuming she means the middle person between the significant other and the friend. But it's like, he wasn't a part of the equation. If you didn't bring him along, you
There
wouldn't
would be
have to
no.
be a middle person. So
Yeah.
you can make it easy for yourself.
And
help them out.
I bet you the guys will probably have no issue with not going because the original trip was planned as a girls' trip. So she thought, assuming that's true,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they probably would even have an issue. Like, okay, well, y'all go. But
Yeah.
the fact that you got both of them who were able to go, girl, it sounds like you may have gotten bamboozled into a couples trip.
Exactly.
Yeah, I at that point, I'm either bringing an extra person with me or it's solo
That's
trip.
so wrong. And then for them to call her selfish.
Yeah,
They're inconsiderate. They're not girls. They're all about their men.
They're men.
Right?
someone said, you should definitely still go. Don't waste your ticket.
Period.
Don't waste $1,000. Yeah.
Girl, what kind of job in this economy you about to waste $1,000?
And I don't understand. How dare she say like it'll still be a girls trip? How is it going to be a girls trip with your fiance?
Unless they're not going to come to anything, like.
And then you're using it as your like
honeymoon, whatever
photography trip and the
right. That's what it is.
That's why I'm saying they planned this already.
Because she's like, oh, I don't have a honeymoon.
And my problem, that's not my problem.
It really isn't.
Oh gosh. They probably were looking at the budget like, well, you already have this big trip to Hawaii planned. And it said something about how the fiance, this would be his first long haul trip, travel trip.
Long travel trip.
So yeah. Ooh. All right.
Oh, I could go ahead and read the last one.
Okay.
So this one says, am I the a-hole for going on a girls trip with my unmarried friends as a married woman? Again, I already know how I feel about this, but I'll read. My husband, 31 male, and I, 28 female, have been married for 4.5 years and together for almost 14 years. Therein lies the problem. He insists that married people shouldn't go on trips with unmarried friends, and that if I do so, it's extremely disrespectful to him and our marriage. I think that it shouldn't matter my friend's relationship status if we're going on a trip to spend time together as friends. I told him that if he trusts me and if the friends I'm going with are in a relationship or not, planning on going out to meet guys, it doesn't make sense that I'm being disrespectful. I feel like she could have worded that part differently, but we moved. For background, a couple years back, I went to Miami with my friend who at the time was dating her now husband. My husband said the same thing before I left, that it's disrespectful for me to go on a trip with my unmarried friend, especially somewhere like Miami, where we'll be going out enjoying the nightlife.
I'm out here in Miami.
I assured him we wouldn't do anything we wouldn't already do on a night out in a nearby city and would be spending a lot of time on the beach. He threatened that he would move out if I went. I did go. Good for you.
And he's still here, right?
Right. And he refused to answer my calls and text the entire time, but he didn't move out. And I thought we moved past it. I guess not, because this morning he again said if I go on an upcoming birthday trip with another friend that he will not be at home when I get back. This time we're planning a trip to one of the U.S. islands just to relax on the beach at the resort. Originally, it was going to be me, my friend, and a couple of her friends who are all lesbians or in some kind of relationship, just not married. What? Miosha's face? I mean, trying to stop distracting me. Okay. Okay, so they're all in relationships, lesbian, or just not married. It didn't matter. Now it's supposed to be me and my best friend, a lesbian in a long distance relationship who I've already gone on a solo trip with before. Still doesn't matter. I tried to see if he could explain how me spending time with my friend is disrespectful to our marriage, but he couldn't and just said that I don't understand. You're right. That's why I need you to explain it. I want to validate his feelings and any worries he has about me going on this trip, and I still want to go. I don't want to be disrespectful or hurtful to my husband, but I don't see going on a trip with my friend as inherently disrespectful.
Mm.
Am I the a-hole for still wanting to go?
So, okay. I just want to make sure I understand it.
Mhm.
He has a
Mhm.
problem with her going on a trip with unmarried women.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Does it make sense now?
Yeah.
Well, it still doesn't make sense to me, but
No,
I'll
I
let you
just
go.
trying to understand.
It makes
Yeah.
sense, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, child. Are you sure he wants to be there? I mean, it doesn't make sense that you would be threatening to leave a marriage over a trip.
Mhm.
And the deciding factor is the other women being married. I mean, we're in 2023. I think we know married people cheat all the time.
Mhm.
So this sounds like an excuse in that he may just be reaching for any reason to just leave the house, which it doesn't sound like he is because he didn't the first time. But
Exactly.
Right.
It's
it
empty.
sounds bizarre. I don't understand why your friends being married or not is really any of his business.
Mhm.
Like
You
he
know,
doesn't know if they're in happy marriages. He doesn't know if they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If they're married, but they're like one step away from divorce.
mhm.
What does that have to do with you traveling? Other than he maybe already doesn't trust you and don't want to be there.
So this is an issue that I can have with relationships where you started dating the person so young, because like I feel like any of my friends, in our later 20s or 30s, if you were to present this situation to them, they would be like, okay, in the dating phase, he would have been
Filtered
like
out.
ruled out as a potential. But when you've grown up with somebody and like you've really grown with them from childhood to adulthood, you
Mhm.
might not see all of these things, or you might just see them as normal things because you don't know any better because you're so young and y'all have been attached for so long. So she's been with him since she was 14 years old. And so it doesn't seem, I don't know their whole relationship history,
Mhm.
but it doesn't seem like there was a lot of time for her to see his potential red flags as red flags,
Mm.
you
Well,
know?
well, they say they've been married for 4.5 years. So she's 28. So they got married when she was 23, 24. And so even with following his logic, how many people even in their age group, friend group, would be married? So
Hmm.
what it sounds like, maybe she doesn't realize that she signed up for, because I don't know if his stance has changed, but she
Right.
signed up for marrying someone who's not comfortable with her traveling with other friends indefinitely. But around even at 28, a lot of people still aren't married. So
Hmm.
if people are getting married later and later, it seems like an unrealistic ask. It's unrealistic anyways, but taking that into consideration
Yeah.
of where they are in life, it's not like he's saying this and they're in their 40s.
Yeah. Even,
It
and if
still
you would
wouldn't make
say,
sense to me. Still wouldn't
yeah,
make sense. But
still would.
Mhm.
it's even crazier that this is his demand.
Mhm.
Hmm.
At 20, he's
He's
31, so slightly.
31, threatening to leave his married home over her going and hanging out with her friends. That, and the thing is, it is a really delicate situation because she's already in the marriage. So I understand when she says stuff like, I don't want to be disrespectful to him, I don't want to be hurtful to him. Like, she's already in a permanent situation.
Mhm.
And so I can understand her not wanting to ruffle feathers, right? But he has to relax a little bit. Does he have any married friends? Because he might need
Mhm.
to consult with them on this and be like, hey, this is the situation. I'm not comfortable with it. And I also want to know if he goes on boys trips, because he could be cutting up because of the things that he sees on his boys trips or he
Hmm.
engages in during his boys trips. And now he's like putting that on her. He's projecting.
Or he don't want her to go anywhere. And this is just a random excuse or reasoning to keep
Yeah.
her in the home. And you bring up age. this is something that they maybe didn't even think to discuss because they were
Exactly.
so young and grew up together
Yeah.
versus being a little bit older. You may think like, okay, well, how would you feel about trips after, we get married, and what will that look like and how often, and it doesn't sound like she's going very often.
She
I
said
would
2
even,
years ago was the last one.
yeah, like I could see him being like, oh, okay, maybe not 4 times a year.
Right.
Don't get crazy, but every few years.
Can I say something though? I appreciate her not being like Sarah from the last one and being like, oh, well, you could just come with us. Like, see, this is a
This
girl's
is
girl. This is a lady who knows how to
Exactly.
operate in her female friendships. But
Yeah.
yeah, any other thoughts that you guys have on this?
You're a clown.
Crystal said,
She is, but
He's
she's
a
married
clown.
to him.
I know she's married to him. She's locked in. And the first round, it seems like she just went on her trip, had a good time. It was like, oh, he just talking. He'll be there when I get home.
Are you 5 to be like, well, I'm not gonna be here when you come back?
To
Okay,
be like,
if
okay.
if you want to leave our comfortable home that we have created together and go somewhere and start off, by all means,
Please make
Do
sure you pack
you?
everything.
right, do it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, it's unreasonable. She's definitely not the a-hole.
At
at
all.
all.
And maybe I'm reaching, but him threatening to leave, that's why I said, like, does he really want to be there?
Mhm.
Because this could just be a way for him to have an out and it not be on him. Like a lot of times people can check out of relationships and situations
Yeah.
and start grasping at straws so that they don't look like the villain or the bad guy. Like, oh, well, I left because she disrespected the marriage.
Yes.
And it's like, really?
Exactly. He's either extremely immature or he doesn't want to be there or both. Those are the only 3
Yeah.
options that I see here.
Yeah, there was no
He's
edit. Let me
controlling.
see in the comments.
Yes. They said.
Yeah.
Ooh, someone says it's okay to have friends. It's okay to have single friends. It's okay to spend time with your single friends. It is okay to have a holiday with all your friends. Anyone that contradicts that statement is controlling and trying to alienate you from your friends. Some of your husband's actions here come across emotionally abusive and manipulative. That is not okay.
Yeah, like if you've been together since 14, at least in a relationship, realistically, how many of the people around you are even married yet?
Yeah.
And my thing is, did they address his actions when she went on the
Last
trip the
time.
first time? Like him pretty
Mm.
much going ghost on her.
Right.
Did she address that or did they just, move on from it?
She said she thought like, oh, we'd move past it, but it sounded like they didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's a problem
It
in
was
itself. It
swept
should have
under the rug.
been dealt with because even I'm your wife. If I'm on a trip and I'm calling you or whatever is
Yeah,
happening,
if
how dare you?
Anything could be happening
I
to
come back
me.
and you don't answer, it's a problem.
No, even while she's there, because you
Yeah.
don't know if I've been like kidnapped and they want a
Exactly.
ransom. You don't know.
That is not someone. No, I don't like that.
You don't even care enough about my safety to answer while I'm away just because I am doing something that you don't like, which you shouldn't not like in the first place. He needs more mature friends and he needs to speak with them more often. And if they're gonna stay in this relationship, they need therapy.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Oh, all
All
right.
right. Well, that was our 3 scenarios. Please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. And we will see you guys on the next video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Next time, of course, it'll just be me and Miosha because Crystal
Yeah.
won't be here. But yeah, we will see you guys on the next video. Bye.
Bye.